What is the height of 6'3"? Why is 6'3" widely considered the most desirable height in the world? What's up, guys? This is Shadowpilt, back at it again with another video. Today we're going to ask and hopefully answer the question of why 6'3" or 191 centimeters is everyone's goal height. For this video, we're going to dive into the psychology behind this height and why so many men and women desire it as a concept. You can use 6'3" as an excuse for anything. You were stealing, 6'3". You were playing music too loud, 6'3" right away. Driving too fast, 6'3". Driving too slow, 6'3". You were charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses, 6'3". You undercook fish, believe it or not, 6'3". You overcooked chicken. I almost said children there. Don't overcook children, that's against the law. 6'3". Making an appointment with the dentist and you don't show up. Believe it or not, 6'3" right away. Just as a disclaimer, this video is made for fun, and you shouldn't take anything that is said too seriously. Everyone is beautiful in their own way, so you shouldn't rope max just because you want to be taller. With that being said, thanks for watching. Starting off, first, let's dive into the many posts from multiple women who state that this is their preferred height for a man. One quick browse on Reddit and there's literally thousands of different accounts confirming this bias. Now, keep in mind, this is from the protection of being anonymous on the internet, so you know these women won't hold back or sugarcoat their opinions. Having said that though, I did still see a bunch of posts from women kind of coping and saying, oh, I'm this height, so I wouldn't mind a guy that is a few inches taller than me, when we know that is just not true. Let's read it together. Here we have a post by the woman named Ashley Miller. So she writes, I can't speak for all women, I can only speak for myself. I unashamedly prefer tall men. My personal ideal height is 6 feet to 6'3", so 6'3" being the top end. She says, I do find men under 6 feet attractive, but nothing below 5'10". So I guess this woman, anything below 5'10", and you're just instantly, you could be the most attractive man in the world, but if you're under that 5'10" mark, you're just instantly checked off the list. Of course, a man's character is also important to me. Of course it is. The same traits my father has is the same I look for in a man. Patient, supportive, loving, protective, calm, masculine. And you just contradicted your whole statement with that. I gravitate towards tall men because I grew up around tall men. My dad is 6'1", my brother is 6'2". If you're around 6 feet tall, she's going to like you because her family is tall, which in my opinion doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess if you really like your family, like you must really, really love your family. Seems a little incestuous to me, but again, this is just proof positive of why 6'3" is such a good height. So here's a guy who's actually 6'3" tall, and he's going to describe his lifestyle at being 6'3" and why it's just such a good height. So he says 6'3" is tall enough that you would be described as a tall in third person. I'm not really sure what third person means. I don't know if you're like talking to yourself or out of breaking that fourth wall, but not tall enough that people would feel the need to point it out to you, which isn't true. At 6'3", I think you do get pointed out a couple times. Like you will say, oh, like you're a tall person, can you reach this sort of thing? But obviously the taller you are, the more people will point out your height. So 6'3" is a good height to be. Tall enough to stand out, but not that much that will get you stared at. Perfect if you were attractive. So it makes things just less inconvenient for you. Ergonomically, as he so eloquently puts it. At 6'3", you were comfortably over the 6 foot mark, and you were officially considered tall by pretty much everyone in the world. Even if you are in the Netherlands, you will still be above the normal average of roughly 5'11". At 6'3", even men that are taller than you, like 6'5" and up, will recognize you as a normal human being and not look at you like some kind of weird short alien. Even if you ask most men, a lot of men will admit to you that 6'3" is their most optimal height. This is probably in relation to the fact that women prefer this, so obviously men want to be what women prefer. Otherwise, men don't really care too much about their height unless it comes to respect. Let's look at another post from a man that this time is pretty much just lusting over the fact that he wishes he was 6'3". Now, if we go into the science behind it, it actually starts to make sense why women prefer this height. Firstly, we need to dive deeper into the psychology of women. Women essentially see men as status symbols. Just like a purse or a piece of jewelry, the man they're with is an extension of their self-worth. That's why so many romance stories are all the same. It's usually an average woman of no status and gets picked up by an attractive masculine man who has a bunch of status, and is able to provide this woman everything she's ever dreamt of. What goes through a woman's head when picking a boyfriend is essentially, what will my friends think of him? What can he offer me to improve the quality of my life? And is he better than other men? See what type of words she says? Is he better than other men? Meaning, women aren't comparing you to their own heights, but instead the heights of other men around you. This is why 6'3" is usually what women say when asked the question of what their dream guy's height is. It's normal enough to not come off as crazy, like if you say 6'7", that sounds insane, but tall enough so she can feel feminine and protected. To sum it up, women see you as a status symbol, and you can argue this is super narcissistic, but this is how the game works, and this is how humans have evolved for thousands of years. It's just natural selection. All right, so this is the last Reddit post we're gonna go through. This guy has a best friend, that is 6'3", and he explains him as he's a super cool guy. He's never done anything wrong to me. Well, I would hope so. He's your best friend, right? And he was saying, yesterday we were drinking and I thought it'd be fun if I created a Bumble profile pic with his pictures and heights. He said it sounds so fun. So he created the profile. Why am I posting this? And apparently just in 3 hours, he got more likes and matches than this guy has ever got in his life. Being 5 in a total right now. So this guy kind of sounds like an incel, honestly. But it's just funny to hear people's just, reactions to what it's like to being the alpha height of 6'3". Just all those girls with amazing bodies, mind you. So, I mean, this guy is really, really down bad, as you can tell. Like, this guy probably gets no action. And it's almost just like when you realize and you see the world firsthand, it really can actually mess up your mind and give you a distorted perception. So that's honestly why, like, it's almost a negative thing if you are short and you want to buy height lifts. It's, just to be tall for a little bit, or like, you fake your height on dating apps, it really just gives a negative view on the world. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of being 6'3" as a man. Starting off with the cons. At 6'3", you'll begin to start getting height-related back pain, which can be an issue if it goes unchecked. So at this height, you need to be a little more careful when picking up things off the ground, or essentially just doing any daily activity. You will have a harder time filling out your frame at 6'3". However, honestly, 3 years of consistent bodybuilding will give you a pretty good, nice, athletic looking physique that you should be proud of. At 6'3", you have to be careful about hitting your head on things depending on where you are. Obviously, 6'3" isn't super tall, but only just about 100 years ago, the height of 6'3" was probably the equivalent of 6'7" today. So sometimes places with small ceilings can be safety hazards. Honestly, that's pretty much it with the 6'3" negatives. If you have any other negative aspects to being this height, please add them in the comment section below. Now, onto the pros or positives of being 6'3". At this height, pretty obviously, you are seen as attractive and masculine in the eyes of women, just simply based on your height. You don't have to try as hard to earn people's respect, and you essentially can live a stress-free life. When you walk into any store, you feel a sense of belonging and acceptance, so you really should never feel that feeling of having insecurity. In terms of your frame, one positive to having it being larger is that you can get away with eating dirtier junk foods and really doesn't show up as fat too much. Lastly, being 6'3" usually gives you a higher athletic ceiling in sports. So what I mean by this is that if you watch boxing, people tend to be less interested in the smaller weight classes, and they want to see the bigger human beings and the more athletic looking freaks, like the people that stand out more. Physically, just being taller will allow you to perform better in sports such as basketball, running, tennis, volleyball. The list goes on and on. I'm sure there's more positives to this height, but essentially being 6'3" is awesome, and that is why it is one of the most loved heights you can be as a man. That's the video. Let me know what height you want to see next and check out my other videos. Again, before you get butthurt, this video was just made for fun and don't take it too serious. With that being said, have a good one. Also, check out my Instagram. It's kurt.snitzer. I just made it and I will follow you back.